Good evening and welcome to the March 20th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everybody rise for this Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. First thing on the agenda is to reconvene our public hearing with regards to the upcoming special election for the purchase of the John Malone property. So I will reopen that public hearing for any public comments, discussion. You got your little Pete on? No?
I don't, but David has one.
I'll just quickly go through this one more time for those people that might be watching tonight that weren't here on last Wednesday night when we opened this public hearing. The Board of Selectmen have presented and will be information on this special election. Actually, it's a special referendum question that'll be voted on next Tuesday, the 27th, and that election will take place here from the hours of 11 to 7, which are the normal hours of the office, and the election will be in this room. There's one question: should the Board of Selectmen, should the town authorize the Board of Selectmen to purchase this piece of property from Malone? It's commonly referred to as the Malone property. The $275,000, and the proposal is that we would use that from undesignated fund balance within the municipal's fund balance. So this late in the year, we would not put that into a tax structure, and this would just be utilized and paid for right up front. And rather than going over everything that I did the other night, after many months and many meetings of the Waterboro Comprehensive Plan Committee, and especially in their economic development section, they talked about potential of a town-owned business park, industrial park, or whatever. Really talking about the property that's owned by the town up at the transfer station. This property has always been, and was for a number of years, has been available on the market. Price was always pretty steep. And if we purchase that, that becomes an enhancement of the town property that is on and off the Bennett Hill Road. So the real question is that we would then have access from Route 5 to the transfer station property and the Malone parcel, and we'd also have access to that from the transfer station. Needless to say, it's something that the Economic Development Committee looked at as well. The Economic Development chapter of the 2020 committee certainly recommends doing something. We had the opportunity, because the price was reduced. Also, we have been in discussion with the Waterboro Water District to place a second, we'll call it a tower or a tank or something on this end on the east side of town to help enhance the water situation that they have. It would be another 300,000 gallon tank or something of that nature. Here, we've already had discussions about leasing them a piece of property. However, with the potential buy of the Malone property, there is a higher elevation here that would suit their needs better. So in essence, and I think Tim referred to this the other night as, they would become the first tenants of the town of Waterboro industrial area if in fact we purchase this land. So lot of talk around town that, well, we're buying it for the water district, and it's a private company. There's a long history with the water district. It is not a private company. It actually started out as part of the town of Waterboro. We had legislative action that took place. They created the water district. The water district is everything on the east side of Ospey Hill Road, Townhouse Road, I guess that would be it, right? And Federal Street. So if you come into town on Federal Street and you went to Middle Road and took Ospey Hill Road Extension and drove all the way to Son of Waterboro and then out through Townhouse Road, everything to the ocean side or east side in the town belongs in the water district. Everybody that resides in that votes on issues within the water district, votes for the trustees, etc. So, long history of Waterboro on the water district. The reason that the EDC and the 2020 committee have always tried to keep engaged with the efforts of the water district is that it is a resource that could be that is looked at favorable in the municipality for businesses to relocate or locate within the town if there is public water. So this would just give us an opportunity to work. We already committed to working with the water district. This might give us a better opportunity, and like I said, they would become the kind of the first tenant again. Again, credit Selectman Tim O'Neill for that. Anyway, so without getting into a lot of other speculation, we do have a very favorable fund balance. Dave, can you flip to that bar chart that I sent to you? I just want to give everybody a look at. This is a historical look at the fund balance for the town of Waterboro. This comes right off, the data comes right off from the annual audit reports that are provided by Ron Smith or his corporation. This is the fund balance in 2010. It was about $2.5 million. It grew, substantially through 13. In 14, after the charter was approved, which requires 1/12 of our entire annual budget to be identified as and set aside as a crisis fund. So this money we can't use. We can use, but there's some requirements that the Board of Selectmen have to meet to use it, and it would have to be a crisis. So there's the crisis fund for the last 4 years, and this is 2017, ended June 30th of last year. So, but as you can see, $2 million jumped up to really about $3 million over a 2-year period of time. Some of the driving pieces of that is that we have excess revenue that we didn't anticipate come into the municipality, and one perfect example of that is excise tax. If people are out buying vehicles, and it's a good year for registering vehicles, excise tax becomes somewhat of a windfall for us because we only budget a specific amount to be used for, typically it goes to roads and those kind of things. So at the end of the year, if there's more excise that comes in other than was budgeted, that becomes added to the fund balance. If we underspend anything, in other words, if we have a budget, we don't spend something, that money goes rolls over into the fund balance. The third piece that not too many people are aware of, when we set the tax rate in this town, we have the right by state law to add 5% contingency to the tax rate. I can't remember when we've used 5, but we're always 1 or 2% or 1.5%. That money, if it doesn't go back in abatements and those kind of things, gets turned back in as fund balance at the end of the year. So we, on an annual basis, plan to use, I mean, I can remember back in 2010, 2011, where $300,000, $400,000 of unappropriated surplus we would put into the annual town meeting to help forego increases in taxes. This current year, we had $400,000, and in our current budget, we've got five, all right? Because the fund balance is up, very healthy, and we're looking to start to burn this down into a level that probably equals 1 to 2 months. Remember now, by charter, we're required to keep 1 month fund balance in a crisis fund. So that's money that...
And we've always said we wanted at least 2, somewhere
Right.
near 3.
So when you're looking at $1.1 million, 2 months of unappropriated surplus would be, 2.2 or $2.3 million. And when you look at this, we're up at about 4 total. So we believe that, we have a pretty good, healthy fund balance. This budget season will start to address some of that. But be that as it may, the $275,000 that we're talking about in this article would come out of this fund balance, the blue bar. Okay? And we have no idea what 18 is. We'll get closer to that as we get closer to the end of this year, knowing whether we had excess revenues or we're underspent on certain areas of the budget. So that's just a picture of the fund balance, and thought that might be, to put it up graphically, might help people understand that we are in a very stable position here in the town of Waterboro from a financial perspective. So, that being said, any questions, comments?
Maybe just one other comment about how much less it would cost the water district to put the line in on the Malone property versus going through the woods and then back down Bennett Hill Road.
Okay.
It's well over 40% savings in total costs, about 3,000 feet. I'll use the...
Yep.
If we were going to be in the woods up here where the easement was before you get to the transfer station, about 1,000 feet down to Bennett Hill Road, about a couple thousand feet down here to Route 5. And that is just about cut in half if we went to the new tank site up here, down this parcel line, and out to the east of JD's, almost across from Dunkin' Donuts and Subway. So significant reduction in labor and materials to put that water line in to connect with Route 5.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Something I haven't heard mentioned is, I'm sure there are people waiting in the wings to buy this property if we don't buy it. And, they'll be free to develop it any way they want as long as they meet our ordinances. And the thing with the 2020 committee, the comprehensive plan, the reason we're pushing for this property, this is the fastest growing area in Waterboro, and it would give us some control over how that area is developed. Probably, more to the benefit of the town, I would think.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
I guess in the 3 months that it's probably going to take to put that water line up the Bennett Hill Road on Wednesdays and Fridays, people are going to have a hard time going to that dump from 7 in the morning till 5 at night. And there's going to be a lot of disturbance going up that Bennett Hill Road to get that water line up through there. And yes, it's going to save by not having to go up the Bennett Hill Road, but it's also going to save the taxpayers in trying to get to the transfer station during the construction of that water line going up the Bennett Hill Road, because there's a lot of ledge, a lot of rock, and it's going to have to go on the left-hand side of the road.
Yep.
Up through there, because from the Ramsdale property to the landfill, which some people probably don't know where the landfill is, but it's the rolling field that some of them slide on. That's
There, right?
Yep.
That's the old landfill.
Way up in
and
the corner.
there's nothing on the right-hand side to bury a pipe, and it's a 60 or 70 foot drop to the bottom of that bank, so. It's definitely gotta go on the left-hand side and dynamite and hammers.
Any other comments?
I think we need to look at the residents in that area, how they're going to be affected on a daily basis, just going about their daily lives, and and then throw in the mix, mail delivery, UPS, FedEx, oil deliveries, all those things are going to be interrupted, because of the construction on the Bennett Hill Road.
It can be done, but it's gonna be costly and time-consuming, so.
You probably have to use.
Whereas this piece of property, if the town can agree with the water district, it ain't gonna bother anybody, so to speak, to go up through there with a pipe, so. It ain't gonna bother any traffic once they get off Route 5 and in there.
Anything else from the board? Anything else? Sensing nothing, I would
I would just say that I would urge everybody to either come in here and cast a ballot, secret ballot, absentee ballot, or at least come down next Tuesday to cast their ballot.
On that note, thank you, Dwayne. Absentee voting stops at 5 o'clock on Thursday, unless you have a special circumstance.
okay. If there's nothing else,
Well, there's one thing I'd like to clear up. There's been quite a lot of, I think, misinformation that's been spread in the social media that needs to be addressed, and even in some of the letters to the editor. So if you have questions on that, I strongly urge you to, call, into the town administrator's office, or anyone on the board, can certainly help you out. One of the comments I know in the back of my mind was somebody wrote in a letter to the editor that they want the people to send a clear message to the selectmen on, how they want, which way they want the town to go. And I submit that on that I think that we got a pretty good, clear message from the townspeople when they voted on it at town meeting to accept the 2020 comprehensive plan. And, we're following, that now by following through on, the recommendations of that plan. And I thought that was a pretty strong message. So to say that we're, not listening to the people, I think is, false.
all right. Thank you to Gordon. Anything else? No, I'm going to declare this meeting closed.
6:22.
And next on the agenda, we have a public hearing to hear public comment on a Bingo license for Lake Arrowhead Community Council. And the rationale, just give me 2 seconds here. This was something that was done for and with the membership, I believe, in Lake Arrowhead. And we said that, and we approved that for a state license. We said that if it ever went public, other than just their membership, that we would hold a public hearing to hear comments. So my understanding is that they now want to open this up to the public. So we're here to hear any comments from the public with regards to Lake Arrowhead Conservation Council having a bingo operation in one of Lake Arrowhead clubhouses, and I think the license goes from April to December was the request. That has to go through the state anyway, and we have to give our approval before it goes to the state. So, comments, questions?
You said
You know what night of the week it is?
Saturdays beginning at 5 p.m. Clubhouse number 2.
we're all set with CEO and fire department and the contract deputies.
Yep.
So, no questions? Comments?
Just to clarify, you said Conservation Council, isn't that Lake Arrowhead Community Council?
Lake Arrowhead Conservation Council is the ones that have submitted the...
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the agenda as community, but I think it
Okay.
is the conservation. It is conservation.
We have a typo.
Well, it's Lake Arrowhead Community. But the Conservation Commission, I know, runs kind of in conjunction up there, but they're not, I don't believe they're connected other than that they're all the same people. All right, so that being said, I would declare that public hearing closed,
6:25.
and we will go on to the rest of the meeting. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm way up here. Announcements. Any announcements from the board? Sherry?
I had action under that to approve or deny the license.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, discuss vote to approve the Beano bingo license. Okay, so what is your pleasure there, folks?
I move that we approve the license.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. No announcements. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, I think we've already done that with the budget review. That will not happen, so no.
Any public comments? Yes. Step right up to the microphone.
Hi, Bridget McCallum speaking as library trustee. There's a silent auction going on right now at the library to raise funds for the very young children's room, which is a little room off the children's room where there is tiny furniture and various activities that the very young children take part in. That room has not been redone for many years, and so it's being re-outfitted as well as new materials for the very young children. So there are many items that are available. If you go to the library's website, waterborolibrary.org, you can see a list of all the items that are in the auction, and you can actually place a bid. You can get a number to be a bidder at the library, get your bidding number from the library itself, and then you can bid online or come in and look at all the items online. The auction goes, I believe, until April 7th, but it goes into the first week of April. I'm not exactly sure of the date. So we encourage people to help raise money for this good cause and get yourself some treasures to boot.
Okay. Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Are we
All right.
Are we on announcements or?
Do you have an announcement?
Yeah, for any veterans out there, on March 29th at 1 o'clock, they have been at the State House in Augusta. They're having the Vietnam War Remembrance Day. And, you know, if you did serve in that particular theater, you can register for, a legislative certificate and coin, I guess, that's going to be passed out up there. So if you or a family member had served over there, I know I've been to one in the past, and they have quite a visual demonstration that they put on, which is pretty interesting. Again, that was March 29th at the State House. It's a Thursday, and it's Vietnam War Remembrance Day.
Okay.
Further, on April 29th, coming up, those of you that enjoy, taking a nice ride through the countryside on a motorcycle, the 11th annual Ride for the Troops is being sponsored by the Patriot Riders out of Sanford. That's where the meetings are held, and not necessarily Sanford related, and this is all the proceeds, the entire 100% of the proceeds go back to supporting veterans and veterans programs, and first responders as well. So it's a real good time. So.
Okay. Anything else, Gordon?
No, I'm all set. No, thanks.
All right, correspondence, we got the treasurer's reports, motor vehicle and excise tax reports, and the Woodsome's newsletter. Reports and staff initiatives, selectmen's reports, anything, Gordon?
Not at this time. I did attend a nice meeting the other night. It had to do with, there was the first meeting on the community center committee, and so basically it was a brainstorming session on what we think ought to be incorporated within a community center for the town of Waterboro. So if anyone listening out there has any ideas, there's 9 people, on this particular committee. You can find out their names, by giving the town administrator a call, and you can contact them directly, or you can leave a message with the town administrator's office on what you think should be part of a community center. I think the first meeting was pretty productive, and it certainly holds that we've got a number of things planned for future meetings, including going around and visiting some other communities that already have community centers in operation to find out what they've incorporated within theirs, some of the problems that they faced, how they arrange for financing, whether or not there's any available grants and so forth for this type of venture. And then a segment of this committee is also going to determine where a facility like this would be located, and it would depend on what we want to have with that, whether or not there'll be athletic fields and stuff associated with that community center, as to how big a tract of land might be necessary for something like this in the future. So.
Okay. Anything else, Gordon?
Nope.
Ted?
Nothing at this time.
Tim?
Nothing for me, thanks.
ZBA Thursday night at 6 o'clock. It's a, I don't know how to word that, but there will be a ZBA meeting at 6 o'clock. It's concerning Osprey Lake. So.
The campground campground expansion approval by the planning board is being appealed by some folks, some abutters.
The only other thing is the logging company is over by the fire station, and I did get a couple calls today, hey, what's going on over there? So if anybody's listening, the selectmen voted last fall to have the trees cut, or authorized it to be cut through the Public Works Director. They are over there cutting the pines because some of them are dying, some of them aren't fit to be stood, and before somebody gets hurt over there, they're coming down, and they won't hurt the fire station, and they won't hurt the blacksmith shop or the school that's over there, and may add a little bit of a park area and whatnot. So give us a chance, and we're going to get it done, and should make it all better or betterer over around the buildings and the blacksmith shop.
Could I say something?
Sure.
The plan there is actually to have a park, but we're going to do it over time with our own resources and not spend any money, little money on it. So it may look rough for a while, but eventually what we're going to have is a really nice looking area over there. Thank you.
Okay. I went to EcoMain's meeting on Thursday. For those that don't know, the middle school was the overall winner of the Eco Excellence Award. and they had, there was a number of kids there and went on a tour and all of that stuff. So certainly congratulations to the middle school and their zero waste efforts over there.
It was the elementary school too.
It was the elementary school as well. I
Yes.
think the middle school is the one that won the overall.
The elementary school won the community award, and the individual something, Mr. Boat, and students won.
Right. So congratulations to them. That's where this recycling has to start, right at that age. So it's good to see that that's working. We are working the budget for Eco-Maine. I don't see that there's any significant impact to our waste cost. The tipping fees are staying down. There is still a struggle in the recycling market with paper, and that's really because of the country. China has shut off taken all the recycling because they were getting too much junk, and so anyway, that's this is I think the second or third time that's happened. But the other thing that I want to just make as a personal note, and I guess maybe this upcoming election has made me more aware of some of the things that are going on. But I just want to make sure that everybody in and around town know that, you know, we have a tremendous staff here at the town hall who's more than willing to sit and talk with anybody relative to why things are being done or how costs are generated or whatever. And there's a big piece of this community that loves to evidently sit out and speculate on how this town runs. And it's unfortunate, to say the least, that they're the ones that seem to be making the most of the noise. But I would, again, offer, I mean, certainly any one of us on the board are more than willing to talk to anyone that has a question. Certainly I know certainly Bridget knows, and I think Tammy Wells out of the other paper knows that they can call us, and we're going to give them an upfront and honest, straightforth answer. And all I'm asking is rather than speculate on what's right, wrong, or indifferent, and I think the kind of the most egregious thing here is that we're talking about, you know, what percentage of your taxes go to on your tax bill versus something on the website that's been there for years that talks about where your tax dollars go. And anybody that doesn't understand that one talks about the taxes and one talks about the total commitment of what the expenditures of the town are, they don't know the difference of that, because that's like comparing grapes and apples. And all they need to do is ask one question, and that would be cleared up. We're going to fix that, okay, and put on the website a percentage of the cost of the town, all right? But I just want to assure everybody that the town government has not increased from 22% to 38%. In fact, if you go back 10 years, it was 38% then, it's 38% now, okay? And it's in it. But if you look at as a percentage of taxes, okay, then what gets consumed in the taxes is RSU 57. I think years ago that chart was generated because we were talking about the taxes, not the total revenues of the town or the total spend of the town. But as simple as picking the phone up and talking to somebody instead of speculating of what all these things are. And I think it just does a disservice to the community. And I guess more than anything, disappointed that we've got people that have been involved in town for years. We haven't seen them in years, but they were involved years ago, and now all of a sudden they're experts on what the charter says. They're experts on where the money's going, and I'm just disheartened with that, because I think I thought we would be on that in this community. But anyway, my 2 cents. I apologize if I offend anybody.
I'll say this, if anybody wants to call me You probably can't find my number in the phone book because it's under a cell phone, but my home number is 793-4330, and I'm usually home 7, 8 o'clock at night, so don't hesitate to holler.
All right, I vented. Gary?
Good vent, thank you, because that's been very frustrating for staff also to have to engage with social media to get simple facts out there. There's a good description that we had up on the counter here for the Malone property. There's some other handouts, one more generic one and another specific one to the charter issues that have been floating around, and some people saying we're violating the charter by pursuing this Malone property, which is not true. You have to look at the entire charter. So stop into town hall and get that information. You'll have to ask for it because this is a polling place, and unfortunately these documents just can't be out in the front lobby until voting is over. My report, Budget Committee has completed their recommendations. The Selectmen, rather than continue their budget review this evening, have decided they're going to have a meeting 9 a.m. to noon or to whenever this Saturday in this room to hopefully finalize their budget. In terms of elections, nomination papers are available now. Nobody has taken any papers out for any position, including one 3-year term selectman vacancy, a 2-year term school board, a 3-year term school board, and one 3-year term water district vacancy. So those papers have been available since March 15th, and they must be returned by April 30th. We've talked a lot about the Malone property. I won't speak any more about that, except the election is the 27th here in this room from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and absentee balloting is available through 5 p.m. this Thursday. And after that, only if you have a special, usually emergency situation. As Gordon said, the Community Center Steering Committee met last night. All 9 people were there, which was good. We had a good, energetic discussion about things at the 10,000 foot level in terms of what might be in this facility. At their next meeting, April 2nd, Chris Burnett, Leo's brother who owns the insurance office opposite Lakeside, will be here. He himself at one time was going to open a business, an athletic facility business, and he's going to actually come in and talk to the committee about some things he's learned in his process about possibly opening a recreation facility. And at some point in time in the next few weeks, some or all of the committee will visit some facilities in southern and central Maine. Snowplow bids were open today. We had 2. Selectmen, I haven't even passed this on to them. We did that at noon today. Unfortunately, we only had 1 bid for the whole town, and that was for $500,000 for each of 3 years. So there was no increase in each of the years. The other bid was for the southern section only, and the price per mile at that ranged from $7,400 to just under $7,700 per mile for a 3-year contract. But Public Works Director and I will be digesting the bids, and I actually have copies to send home with the selectmen tonight. You can take these and look them over if you like. For your reading enjoyment. Planning Board workshop was canceled for tomorrow evening because of a lack of quorum. The only thing they had on the agenda was to talk about the job description for the new town planner. Yeah, you get 3 there, I think. And I was also called to the superintendent's office last week.
You haven't had that done in a while.
No, I haven't.
How much suspension did you get?
Well, the challenge is that it involves elections at school buildings. I did not know until last Monday that we were the only town in RSU 57 that uses a school building for an election. With the things that are happening in our country, as we all know, elections in school buildings during school hours is going to be more of a thing of the past. So we worked out a situation whereby we will have 2 deputies inside the building for the June election, one by the main entrance and one by the side entrance where the voters are encouraged to go inside. And in theory, unless things change, come November, we need to have an election elsewhere, which in my mind could be in this building with no Funergy next door, and you could use your entrance over here at this side of the building and funnel people and queue them up. You could, if it's a rainy day, you could queue up a lot of people in between the front door over here and the voting booths. We even pass out numbers like the deli at Hannaford if we want to. But
We had that one year where we voted in the town hall room and came in this door and
Yep.
went through the hall.
We used to go to town hall all the time.
Oh, I know that, yeah.
And we would have people go out the other end of the building, which will present a bit of a challenge for handicapped folks because they're not supposed to cycle back where they came in. But I think we could make that work. The challenge would be in the presidential. We don't have the parking here for that. So it's pretty clear. This security committee that is made up of
We got a building in town that can do that.
Lakeside.
Lakeside Church.
Yeah.
And you got handicap accessible, and you can go in and out of the different doors and make that all work.
I agree. That's a
On a
possibility.
Tuesday, and
Yep.
that's probably one of the biggest buildings in town that public is more than welcome.
So that's something you folks are going to have to talk about. I like that idea.
Plenty of parking and plenty of handicap parking.
Yep.
Yeah, the issue here is parking, so
Yes.
unless we could make some sort of an arrangement where we find a way to park in this field out here, or whatever the case may be, but anyway.
Across the street.
Well, I tried to work with the superintendent in terms of scheduling. Since we know when the elections are going to be years in advance, we can tell him which Tuesday in June and which Tuesday in November we would need the building, Massapequa East. The answer I got was, because they're tied in with the Regional Vocational Center, the number of days they have local control over is 4 or 5, and they use all those now, and they're planning on using them for the same thing. So to try and move their teacher workshop days, where the kids would not be there, to our 2 election days, I guess for the moment anyway, is not in the cards. But I want you to know I did try to do that. So that's the status in terms of elections. We have no problem, I think, for next Tuesday being in this room here. The turnout will be much lower. And Massapequa East for the June election, and then somewhere else for the November 2018 election. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments, Gary? Okay. New business, discussion and vote to accept the resignation of Ryan Vanasse from the planning board.
With regrets, we're sorry to see him go. This young guy with a family.
Very knowledgeable. I make a motion to accept, as Gary says, with regret, the resignation of Ryan Vanasse.
Okay. Been moved. We have a second? Second. Moved and second. Any discussion?
Is he moving out of town, or he's
Yes.
just overwhelmed? He's moving out of
No,
town?
out of
Yes.
town.
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of lien properties. Potential auction. How many lien properties do we have?
You got that packet in your, get that report from Shirley in your packet, and on the tail end of this green sheet here, you see I did a summary of the statistics that she pulled together.
Can I pass out what I can do, folks?
Sure, yep.
What I have here is a list of the lots, shows the property value, if it's land or if it's buildings, and just only buildings. And behind it is the individual maps of the property, where it's highlighted in yellow, and things that you needed to run.
Yeah, thank you.
To show the properties where they're located.
Yep.
And the grand total is on the second page is what the value of the taxes is for today.
Third page, you mean?
Third page, $176,400 and change. In cash and taxes.
Okay. So, I think when we first came on board here, we talked about,
We had one auction that, we had 34 properties for auction, we sold 3. Some of those are still on the list.
yeah. So it would appear we're gonna have have an auction again. I guess my concern is there were one or two of these, and I think, did we just back off and not
I think
deal with it
looking
because there was somebody living in it, or?
Well, we had good success in getting some of those big ones the last time around to pay up, and they kept their property.
On map 44, and bring it to your attention, there's a whole cul-de-sac on that.
George Can-Do, Can-Do,
Yeah, he was the guy waiting for us to,
declare them buildable.
declare automatically, just bless him as being buildable.
And also
'Cause he was
has
gonna
survey
go out
land
on the
in
market.
as well.
Yeah.
I think we just,
I think we ought to take a Saturday and kind of take a look at some of this.
yeah,
Well, 32 out of the 44 are in Lake Arrowhead and are land only, and there's a fair number of those that were in the last auction. Remember, the reason we sold so few the last time around is because I had put back taxes and fees owed on the price for each of them. And who's going to spend several $1,000s for a back half acre or so when they know it's never going to be built on? So if we go forward, either put no minimum bid or something no more than $250 so that all of these can go to abutters if they have any.
well, I
interest
believe we
whatsoever.
changed that ordinance, right? That ordinance used to say that the minimum acceptable bid was all of the back taxes plus the fees, right? I believe we changed that to give you some flexibility, right? And we took that was not necessarily, because some of them you're never gonna get,
Right.
right? So I mean, it's all driven by the ordinance, tax quiet property ordinance, which tells us what we gotta do, and I think there's a lot of flexibility now in that, because we kept changing it. One was, and then I'm not sure that there's any from the, any here from the mobile home park?
4.
Yes, there is.
So if we take those, we're going to start paying rent on the land. If we actually assume ownership of the mobile home park and evict the
Well, it's
tenants.
moving.
That's building only though, right?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all
Well, I
there
tell you
is.
what we did with the last one. We sold it.
Yeah, is there anything that
Uh,
Becky Barley wants?
They held
Did
it
who?
down back and
That
burned it.
owns the mobile home park?
I don't know. I haven't pursued these potentially occupied buildings in here. You've got those 4 that are probably all mobile homes, and then 6 of the 44 are land and buildings. And what I did before is I made contact with all the people that are living in the homes,
Yep.
not trying to evict anybody. And nearly every one of those, between they and their relatives, they found the money, and some of that was very considerable. And we have some more in here that are very considerable.
So, some of these taxes that are owed on them trailers, I don't believe the trailer is worth what's owed on them.
Yeah.
By,
One of them is, it's valued at 0 because it's got the, that $21,000 or $10,000, whatever. And no, it's not Can-Do, it's WEISS is the one that owns that.
Oh.
So if, I'm assuming that there's someone in each one of those mobile homes?
I don't know that. I haven't done the homework to do that.
Well, if they're
There's
not,
eight-
we'd be better off to move it.
there are some of those trailers up there that are vacant at this point.
Right. So they're not collecting any rent anyway, so. And I guess one could say that if you wanted to push it, that we already own it.
Technically, we do.
Right.
We just
So-
haven't filed the deeds. And there's still a septic system in here that we put in for $12,000 in 2009. It's accrued another $12,000 in interest since then.
Ooh.
And that's a supplemental bill. They're paying their taxes outside of that, they're just not paying on the supplemental. So if they ever sell it, that's when we would get the money, I would assume.
All right, well, let's scrub this down and look at what we've got. The action has got to be we need to do something, right?
It's almost getting to a point now where if we wanted to meet, if Dwayne can remember to get here at 5 o'clock, we could look at some of this stuff at 5 o'clock, and it's almost 7:30 before it's completely dark. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in a couple hours, we could, between Arrowhead and, because with the snow that's on the ground, we wanna wait another month probably, but,
But you've only got 12 of these that have buildings.
yeah.
You can look at those in
Yeah.
two meetings.
But between Arrowhead and Pine Tree Estates, Pine Tree Trailer Park,
Well, let's find out. I mean, there's some background that's got to be done. You can find out how many of those
So how many occupied?
are occupied, and then I think it becomes a negotiation between, is
there's one,
Becky still owned them? Well, they
as
still
far
own
as I know.
Right, well, that was Malone, right?
Yeah, I think
But-
it's Becky at this point.
Right, so if that's the case, then we sit with her and
Doug, Mr. on Lakeside, is her manager up there.
yeah.
So is Becky on both those trailer parks up there, or just one?
There's only one trailer park there.
Evergreen? No, that's not trailer
Evergreen
park.
Drive is on,
That's
Oh, yeah.
different development.
You
Evergreen.
gotta be careful, Jesus Christ lives up there.
okay. All right.
All right, we'll get going on occupied. Anything else from you,
No,
Julie?
that's all. Trying to bring out what I did.
Okay,
You got any advice or comments on, I think we've got 2 or 3 other septic systems out there that I think are just sitting there and we're probably only going to get our money when the property's sold.
it would appear to me that that's probably the case.
But we'll make contact with this one that's on this list and report back to you.
Okay. All right,
If they're paying the taxes on it, but not the
That's what they're
lien,
doing.
then I don't know what we can do, does it?
I don't think you can
You can't
foreclose
ta-
and take
you
a
can't
place for a
foreclose on-
supplemental with
Right.
when the real
I
estate
don't
taxes are
either.
paid.
Yeah, repossess
I
it.
guess that would be something for Madley's office to tell us that we can or
Take
can't
the
do, but I
septic
don't think we
system
can
out.
do it.
Yeah, repossess it,
Repossess it.
we're going to repossess this.
No, boy.
Not yet.
I've not asked that question of whether or not we can take a
I'm not
home.
gonna hook a chain on it and drag it up to the town office.
All right, thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
All right, Gary, let's see, Christina has presented the ballot clerks.
Yep.
So I guess I'd entertain a motion to approve the list as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
5-0.
Okay. Back to the front here. Yep. Take care of that. Old business, continued discussion concerning the Malone property. I think we're not sure much about that, right?
I don't have anything else to bring to you.
The budget, any?
I do have a question on the budget.
Yep.
What department heads do you
I
want?
guess I was just gonna ask that question.
There you
So
go.
I guess we're thinking alike. So we're gonna bring in, Matt.
Yep.
I would
Mr.
say
Benton there?
David, yeah. Is he speaking for Clint now, or is Clint speaking for himself? Transfer station.
I mean,
Well, he's gonna be open, so
I think David and I can handle any questions that are down
Yeah,
there.
and I don't think there's any surprises coming, so it's a matter
I
of,
think probably, he's probably got help enough up there, if we got a
yeah,
question,
he
we
could
can
run up here.
run up or a phone conversation.
I don't think we need,
I think we all got cell phones that we could call him one
I
way or
don't
the
think
other
we
and
need
put
a
it on speaker.
librarian. I don't think we need her, yeah.
How about rec?
Do we need Todd to come in, or?
That was pretty cut and dry, wasn't it?
I mean, it's-
Well, we had a lot of conversation in terms of rec salaries and telephones and other things like that, but I mean, all that's been presented to you. There's not a whole lot of new information that Todd would bring except to answer your questions, I guess.
Certainly the bulk of it becomes public safety, public works, general government, that's the other three big pieces. That's 30% out of the 30% of the total. School is 60% of the total. I guess the concern that I have is what is going on with RSU 57? Is there a number yet?
No.
They're having a budget meeting coming up.
Yeah, and it's going to be potentially
Well, his,
deep into April.
I was gonna say, they said.
well,
the
every
night
other
is almost midnight.
every other municipality that I've heard, all of them are 7%. Is that the number?
They were talking about losing 900,000 in revenue from Augusta. If that's the case,
Again,
600 of it's
they
ours.
did that last year.
and
We're going to lose again.
Yeah.
and a lot of times that first OMG moment goes down a few months later, and I don't know what the final number is going to be. There's still 3 weeks ago, there was still 2 bills in the hopper for this legislative session that could affect things. So that's part of the reason why they still don't know. If they're saying 7%, that must be a status check from the Department of Education on what could happen, not what will happen.
Lewis and Auburn was on the news, right? That they talked to the superintendent. He was 7%, right? I thought Gorham.
Revenue from Augusta, you mean?
No.
Or their budget?
They're increasing their budget.
Okay.
Okay, and there was 3 or 4 towns within a week of all the superintendents coming out, and every one of them was 7%. So
It's
I'm
an
going. So there's a
unbelievable
number.
figure of transporting these kids outside the district.
It's
I,
huge.
you know how many
It's
vans
huge.
I meet every day?
More
They got
than you
13 vans running the road every day.
and one kid to a bus. Because they aren't capable of
Well,
riding the
that-
bus
that
with
you can
another
thank-
kid.
You can thank all them folks in
Oh,
Augusta.
I know. It's scary.
They're also working on that new tax delinquent property bill too. I don't know where that's going.
Yeah, that keeps going around in circles, different variations.
So if RSU was, we're just under 6 million, right? So we're 590. What did you plugged the number in here, right? Where did the 6?
Well, the budget committee, took mine down on what they did. They were at call it 6.5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought that was RSU. I'm looking. Yeah.
No, there's no RSU in here.
Yeah, but you got last year's in there, right?
Oh, yeah, you go to page 22, the last page for that. They were at 8.3 for this year, the RSU was.
Okay. So if they're 7%, if I use that as a
Hypothetical.
hypothetical, because that's what I keep hearing. And again, that's news, right?
Yeah.
8,
586,000
Well, no,
added to last year's.
yeah, that's 580, and we own 33% of that. I mean, you're looking at $190,000 increase to the town.
Yes.
$195,000 increase.
And I mean, here we have to send this in to have the ballots done, by the 13th at the latest. So we're gonna have to put a number in there, whether we want to or not, whether it's a guesstimate or not.
I would think
Well,
that
I would
between Larry
almost
and
say
Colin
that
had to have something
Saturday,
reasonably
if we can
close
get a
that
hold
they
of,
can get us by the end of next week.
school board members, see if they can come in with a figure here, an estimated figure.
Is Brenda still on the finance committee?
Yeah.
Is she, is she under a gag order, or
I
will they
don't
let her?
know. That's why I
Will they
say.
let her tell us?
said, well,
Probably.
Why can't Gary give Colin a call, sometime this
They
week?
gotta be working with a number.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, they have this plus something.
Right, so we need,
they've cut a bunch, I know, out of that budget, but it's still gonna go through the residents.
I mean, they know what their contractual increases are.
sure.
But if that age education from Augusta truly does take a hit to the tune of, $500,000 to $750,000, that really changes the ballgame.
All right. So the other question I had, that you and I discussed, do we have to have an article that addresses unappropriated surplus?
I don't have the answer for that, from Natalie, so.
What was your question?
Question is, if you look at the charter, because everybody is all up in arms about the charter, okay? You look at the charter, it says that with voters' approval, we can utilize unappropriated surplus to forego increases in taxes. That's what it's there for, right? That would suggest that we have to present them with a number to use.
Yep.
Now, we used to do that when all of the numbers were
Right.
inside the articles. We'd say an X amount of dollars from unappropriated surplus. By default, that filled that need. We don't do that anymore. Or at least in the last couple of town meetings, we've said, here's what we need, and then at the end of the meeting, we said, okay, this is what we intend to
Okay.
use.
Now, and I brought this up once before, either the top or the bottom of this ballot, can somebody check, yes, I approve it, and no, I don't, and not go down through the 26 or 30 articles?
Like the old
And-
blanket,
Yes, and check off, yes, I approve of it, and it's got this much is my tax dollars and this much is my unappropriated
well, we ought to take a few minutes on,
excise tax, and
Well, wants to approve everything on there, you
Yeah.
mean?
right.
and that stops them from having to read all the way down through if they have already read it, and
And I guess the other question is that does it make sense to, at the beginning of the thing, to say if this is approved, then this much is, we're gonna use this much from excise tax, this much, which means that we're gonna have to go through those revenues.
We know we don't have to do that, but I think the question about fund balance is certainly a valid question, because we
It's
may.
very specific. Now, the argument that what we're doing next Tuesday violates that, I don't believe that in a minute, because
Right, it
the
does not,
townspeople are voting to allow us to do that
in the question.
in the question, right? So that solves that number. But I think going forward, especially in the referendum ballot, we're gonna have to ask the question that we're proposing that we're gonna use $550,000 or $450,000, whatever the number is, out of undesignated fund balance to offset the increase in taxes. Do they approve of that?
I think that question needs to be asked, because the charter does say with voter approval.
Yeah, I just shut this off, but I mean, I don't have the charter. You usually carry the charter.
Yep.
Now you know.
I'll catch Christine if I can and ask her that question.
It says undesignated, this is section 908,
Page 22.
undesignated fund balance, subject to town meeting approval. The board may utilize the undesignated fund balance of the general fund to reduce the tax commitment of any ensuing fiscal period. That tells me that town meeting has to approve it,
you
Yeah,
gotta have an article to approve that.
which we always had it baked into the,
Baked right in.
so.
then you just gotta put a number with it, right?
I think we have to say that, do you approve of
450,000,
utilizing, yeah.
whatever.
And I think that RSU 57 has one of their articles in their vote asked that question. Because you never know now, because all you do is vote on the top number. They have that
You know,
crazy meeting that looks like an old
Colin
town
should
hall.
really answer that question, no?
Right. Well, that's it. That is, it says, should the board use X dollars to forego
Mhm.
increase in tax burden, right? This, I think, is pretty, very specific. It says we need town meeting approval. So I think if we plan on taking $500,000 or $400,000 out of the unappropriated surplus and put it into this budget, then we need I'm guessing it has to be well, Natalie would say, I'm sure it's going to be a separate question.
Yeah.
But the other question that Dwayne brings up is that some people might say, I don't want to go through this whole thing. I want to say yes or no.
Yeah. And I think if it's legal.
Well, years
it ought
ago,
to be an
you used to be able to
option.
vote.
Yeah.
You used to be able to vote
Straight
a
back.
ticket, right?
Yeah.
A Republican or a Democratic ticket, right?
Mm.
But I think that's no longer valid, is it?
I don't
Nobody
think you can
does
do
it.
that anymore. Christine's answer was probably start with the Secretary of State first,
Mm.
and then if that's a green light, talk to your town attorney on how to word it.
Yeah.
She didn't think it would be allowed. We don't know. We'll find out.
Okay.
It would be a very simple ballot.
This is the first time that we're doing this thing, so we need to make sure that we get it as right as possible.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, 'cause you definitely don't want something coming back and bite you in the rear end.
And I think if we can get through Saturday with this, then I think that gives us just a few more weeks, and I think we schedule as many public hearings and as many things as possible, because this is gonna be a shock to a lot of systems.
Well, remember we talked about mailing a sample ballot and some or all of this budget and the budget
Right.
document to people.
The sad part is 40% of the people ain't gonna understand that.
True.
Yeah. And I
And
think we need to pictorially depict that as much as we can in a graph
Yeah.
or something that shows this is what we're trying to do.
because I may take it home and study it for hours before it dawns on me to what.
Okay.
Somebody pick that up and it's not gonna mean much to them.
Yeah, what they want to look at is, this is what you spent last year. This is what you want this year, right? That's the
Yeah.
traditional,
See the increase
yeah.
or the decrease.
That's another one of the things in the charter that Dennis and I were talking about yesterday, I guess it was, that if we have a few charter changes now that we're voting on everything, I mean, one of the things is, content that has to be on the ballot, which is required in there to have, budget committee recommendations. I don't know how we're going to fit that on the ballot.
Your charter is almost due to be updated. That was, what's the date on that book, Dennis?
Well, it was the,
02 it started.
yeah,
Okay, so
but 13.
it needs to be.
12.
2013.
12, it was approved, November 8th, 2012
So
was
you're up-
approved, effective July 1, 2013.
So you're up to 5 years at this point, and it's gonna take a year and a half to get a
I
charter.
had to change my chart, because I think I put 14 as being a,
Yeah, you did. I wonder why.
well, that would be 14, fiscal year 14.
13, 14.
Yeah.
But you'll be up to
14.
6.5 years before you could get a charter
Right.
reorganized, and then it takes a
So
couple
we've only
years,
been,
so-
this is our 5th year now with the crisis fund.
Yeah, and then you can pick away at the little changes and not have to have a charter commission, or you can do the whole ball of wax. There are quite a few little things in there that we could fix.
Well, we need to address the issue with, if a individual budget item goes down, we know we have to have a special town meeting, but
Right.
I don't think we just shut down that department.
Well, you have a
Isn't there
special,
a state law
you have a
that
special
trumps that,
town
though?
meeting, but
Like so.
we couldn't have what I'd call a town meeting. It's another ballot question.
Right.
So it's gotta go back on the ballot, and if it gets defeated that time, how many times can you do that, and where's the
Well, I guess
cost
that's
to the
the question
taxpayer?
is
you know?
that can you take it, does it always have to go back as a referendum ballot, or can you go back to
Last
an
year's
open
budget.
vote?
We cannot do I tried, I pushed hard. We cannot do an open town meeting
Okay.
for anything.
All right.
That door's
So,
shut.
so
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say
real
that.
question is, and we need the language in the charter that says, if an individual line item went down, that that department runs at the previous year's rate until such time as a budget can be approved, right?
Yes.
But how about, and if you need a
Think
charter
about what they
commission,
did 2 years ago with the fire department,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You walk out of there with no funding for the fire department, somebody's gonna do something. Now, I guess that would be a good question for Natalie,
I was
is,
gonna say,
if
if
that
they have-
happened, does the Board of Selectmen have the right to use the crisis fund?
I think that's pretty clear, the answer would be yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, because that's would qualify as a crisis, right?
Do you run it till you have a special town meeting, or do you run it for the ensuing year?
No, I think you gotta run it until you have I think you gotta come back to, you need to come,
Well,
it's
the
the same as a,
Townspeople said no,
but
so,
if it's the same as a school. School budget goes down, they have to come back with a revised budget, right?
Yes.
Until it passes.
No,
So,
just so many times.
well,
Isn't there a certain
well, wait a
number of
minute,
times
Greater
that they
Gloucester
do it?
did it like 6 times.
yeah,
There's-
as I say,
I thought it was a certain number of times and then it
But
had to go back.
I think the school board is a little bit different than the municipality as far as,
Well, we need to make
True.
sure that the language is, whether we have a referendum ballot question, which we could do in November, that gave us, that added one sentence or one section to the ballot. That's not a governmental
I guess-
structural change.
I guess the charter could be changed so that if it was defeated in a referendum question, that we could have a open town meeting vote to,
That's
That,
something to
that
think
might,
about.
that might be a fundamental change, as
That could
As
be-
Ken Cole used to
yeah,
say.
well, and I'm thinking about Ken as I speak there, but, that could be your way around it as far as, but we're talking a year and a half, 2 years away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if we do a,
Talking
if
3
we do a,
years
a
away.
charter revision, or a charter,
You gotta
if
set
we
up
do a charter commission, you're 3 years away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you might be
So
able
you
to
can't
change
amend
things.
anything in that unless you have a charter commission?
You're a year
No,
away
not
just
true.
from the election.
You can, if it's,
Sorry,
and this
you're
goes
a
back
year
to
from
the,
election.
this goes back to the definition that we had from legal, which was Ken Cole at the time. If it is not what they call a significant change, significant being it changed the form of government, okay? That you can have a referendum question. It has to be, you want to change 2 or 3 things, it has to be individual questions. Now, we did that 7, 8 years ago when we changed, it always, the charter said that the election had to be Friday before town meeting on Saturday. We had a single question, referendum question, that said we could run it on Tuesday during the state election, right, which would be the June primary day, right?
And the school board.
Right, so we didn't have to have a charter meeting, a charter commission for that. It was an individual question. It is deemed as not significant. So I think there are some things that we could put in there that we wouldn't need a charter commission.
But if the fire department budget went down, that would be a significant
Emotional event.
emotional, yeah, something, but, that would have to
Just have
have
Wilmington.
I think that.
the
if
town
that-
vote.
Right, and I think in the interim, you could say, we're gonna invoke part of the crisis
Yeah,
fund, right? And it's gonna be X amount of dollars a month.
yeah.
I mean, if you look at, they're what, $1 million or 900 and some odd thousand, so, they're $80,000 a
And it
month.
may want to say back from last year's budget or
Right.
average of the
So there are
last.
some things that we,
I'd rather see the average of the last 3 years
Yeah.
than I would 1
Then
year.
if we use the crisis fund, we gotta make that up somehow.
that's right, you gotta put it back. Well, that would happen once you pass the budget. Part of passing the budget would be to take what money was pulled out of the crisis fund and put it back in the crisis fund. You got up to 5 years to put the money back in the crisis fund. Crisis fund doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway. All right, let's let's get through the rest of this. Any week's action list, I think other than the liens and that day, you guys are gonna take care of
I
that?
think calling the finance director at the high school is,
Yeah, we
a
need
week
we
action.
need a number for Saturday morning if we can get it. What do you wanna see at the next meeting? We have,
Status report for the liens.
right, we have what did I do with that, Sherry? We have an interview at executive session,
Oh, yeah, cemetery
and
committee.
then Brad Merrill has requested an appointment with us regarding Pearl Street.
So we're gonna do one at 5:30 and
Well, we can have an appointment with him at 6 o'clock.
oh, because that's not executive session.
Right.
Oh, I see.
what's his
Okay.
issue now?
I don't know. If you can tell me off from that, it just says regarding Pearl Street extension.
I thought we hashed that out.
I thought we were all set too. Anyway,
We need to approve minutes to number 11.
yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I blew right by that. Let's back up to 11. Discuss and vote to approve the minutes of the February 27th regular meeting.
I make that motion to approve.
Second,
All those in favor? Opposed?
I wasn't here.
Discuss and vote
We
to
were
approve
still
the minutes
following
of
the blizzard.
the 14th special meeting, which was last Wednesday, right?
So
Which
moved.
was real, yeah, okay.
second,
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Opposed?
I wasn't here.
Who
so-
did the motions? I missed it.
I did.
Ted,
Down this, and
Ted and Gordon?
Yes.
Thank you.
I wasn't here for the end of the meeting, can I still vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Sure.
we're
Yeah,
taking-
you were here for the
Okay.
first part of it.
All right, I'm sorry, I missed those.
The vote on that, was that 5-0 or 4-0-1?
401.
I
He
abstained
was
because
not,
I wasn't
he
here.
wasn't here.
Good, thank you.
Okay,
I read it.
agenda items, we're all set on.
But
Minutes, the minutes, don't forget to sign them, the Vino license and the ballot election clerk approval is all gonna be signed. so-
Okay, did everybody get a snowplow bid package? Take home?
Don't
I
leave
just-
home without it.
I just did this.
Did what?
That's all you, if $250 difference there, even if you allowed 2 contractors, which is not even sensible.
Right,
You might as well go with one bid that's gonna do the whole town
yeah.
and one
I mean, we're
contractor.
for
it's gonna be
something
more
now.
administrative work to,
If he fixes it for the, well, that's up to you guys, look at it over, but.
That's what
a
I was
fixed-
figuring.
A fixed number for 3 years
Yeah.
with no escalation, I mean, we're already 420 now, so.
Well, there's an aspect in there about bonding that he didn't want to do, and so he kind of backloaded most of his payments
Who's this forwarded?
into
Yeah.
February and March.
Vino license.
in April.
This is, that's
So
it.
big
This
one was
was
in
sure
April.
what we
No,
signed.
the rest of them
No,
are.
let's
do it.
let's finish this up and then we can,
You got this though, right? Officers. for the
David's gonna run the mind, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Are we adjourning or are we just continuing till Saturday?
No, we're gonna have a new meeting on Saturday,
Okay.
which will be a voting meeting, voting workshop, I guess, or
Voting
whatever
meeting.
we're gonna call it.
for voting meeting.
She's got it
Motion
on
to
now.
adjourn.
Gordon?
Then moved,
Second.
seconded, all those in favor? Opposed?